I'm Simone and I'm here to show you my 4 pieces of artwork and tell you about what I've learned in the last 2 weeks. First, I would like to show you this piece of art, which is Teotihuacan City and Pyramids, as stated in the article by Dr. Maya Jimenez, titled Teotihuacan. The name means place where the gods were created. Teotihuacan had a reign from about 100 BCE to 600 AD, and it was abandoned in the 7th century. The people of Teotihuacan were known to be master planners. The entire city was built on a grid system, which includes over 75 temples and 2,300 apartment buildings. From Estrada's lecture, a YouTube video entitled Teotihuacan History, we know that the city core spanned 2 miles and the whole city was 8 square miles. The entire city was aligned with the sun, and the pyramid of the feathered serpent was at the center. What you can find in an article written by Matthew Robb entitled The Spatial Logic of Zacualpa Teotihuacan, we learned that the Street of the Dead, which I believe is could be this right here, we learned that the Street of the Dead is known, or it's punctuated by 3 main pyramids: the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent. And in Estrada's lecture, the YouTube video entitled Teotihuacan History, we learned that the Pyramid of the Sun reaches a height of 200 feet, which was one of the tallest structures at that time. We learned that the Pyramid of the Sun was meant to be entered from the east, which originates at the Avenue of the Dead. The Pyramid of the Moon, we learned in an article written by Dr. Maya Jimenez entitled Teotihuacan. The Pyramid of the Moon is located at the northernmost point of the Street of the Dead and is accentuated by an extinct volcano in its background. And the name of that volcano was Cerro Gordo. We also learned in a YouTube video presented by the Khan Academy entitled Teotihuacan, we hear Dr. Laura Kilroy Eubank tell us that the Street of the Dead was 4 miles long and it was 135 feet wide. The Street of the Dead was the least integrated part of the city, and access was very restricted, which allowed opportunity to control access to the entire northern sector. The Street of the Dead was seen to be the engine that drove the city's spatial machine. Next, I would like to show you my artwork of the fresco murals. This one is the creation story. It's kind of hard to see. Everything's very small. The ancient Mexicans have been painting al fresco style for more than 1,000 years. The best examples of this can be seen at Teotihuacan, mainly in the apartments. Fresco style, as we learned in Estrada's lecture, a YouTube video entitled Teotihuacan History. Fresco, meaning fresh, is where the name comes from because fresco style uses fresh plaster. We can see water emerging from the inside. Water is from the underworld, as it's known, and the underworld is a place full of riches, abundance, and fertility. Archaeologist Sergio Gomez insisted that the mural is representing a celebration of the underworld and the sacred mountain and how the world was created. We can see here, we see small figures. They seem to be celebrating or maybe talking to each other or possibly singing. We do have some figures here playing with a ball, and Americans have been using rubber balls since 1600 BC, from the early formative period until today. And we know that rubber balls were shipped into ancient Mexico, roughly 1,600 balls 2 times a year. These rubber balls, they were made from an ancient recipe, from sap from the rubber tree, along with other native plants, and these balls were made for the purpose of playing games. Next, I would like to show you my artwork depicting the Great Goddess. And as you can see here, this is another one of the fresco murals found all throughout Teotihuacan and the surrounding area. The Great Goddess murals were believed to be a possible deity, but her purpose was unclear. It was also unclear if she was male, female, possibly hybrid. In an article by Allison Faith, we learned that the Great Goddess of Teotihuacan, the mural was found in 1942 in a Tepantitla compound by an archaeologist named Alfonso Caso. But it was not identified until 1972 by Peter First. And what I want to show you in this is we can see her beautiful headdress. She has green feathers, red feathers coming out. We see that there is water pouring from her hands, or possibly water pouring from her hands. We see her jade earrings over here. We see that she is wearing armbands and wristbands. We see that there are two figures on either side of her, and these were thought to be possible priests who are also wearing the armbands like her. They are carrying a looped handled handbag, and they have the same green feathers in their headdresses. The bottom strip is identified as the upper lip of the storm god known as Tlaloc, as stated in Estrada's lecture, a YouTube video entitled Teotihuacan History. We do see that there is water. We see some star-shaped elements and some animals. And what we don't see in this, I'll show you this one as well. What we don't see in either of these is the bottom half of the mural is depicting the civilians of Teotihuacan, suggesting that the goddess is watching over them or protecting them. Here in this one, we see her beautiful headdress. We see the predatory bird on her headdress, also pouring something, possibly flowers or seeds, from her hands. And we see her big jade earrings. And yeah, so here we go. And as stated in the article by Dr. Maya Jimenez, she states that considering the cosmopolitan nature of Teotihuacan, it is thought that the city's art was not portraiture, but rather generic representations that sought to unify a diverse population. Recently, however, painted signs have been recognized as representing the names of individuals, leading up to re-examination of whether Teotihuacan artists portrayed specific individuals, and reminding us that there is still so much to learn about this complex ancient culture and city. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much.